Join us now on Flickr at flickr.com/groups/art-of-photography.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Art of Photography. Once again, my name is Ted Forbes and we're going to try something a little different today. Lately I've been kind of trying to think of ways that we can try and get episodes out a little more often, and some theme stuff that I'm thinking about doing. So today we're going to start some of that. But as we enter into the fall season, I'd really like a way to, kind of excite you as a viewer, as a photographer, and get you energized and hopefully get stuff out a little more often. And so one of the things I want to try and do is every once in a while is do kind of a book review episode. And so this will be the photography book review maiden voyage here, if you will. And for those of you who know me personally, you probably know that I am a ginormous book junkie. If there's one vice that probably will lead to my downfall, it is the complete addiction I have to photography books specifically. I'm constantly checking out the used bookstore. I'm constantly seeing what's coming out. I'm constantly looking on Amazon, all those wonderful things. And anyway, so I have amassed a fairly large book collection, and I thought, this would be something that I could share with you to try and hopefully inspire you. And I think this is important for a number of reasons, but mainly, we live in this digital culture where most of us as photographers, or, our experience with photographs happens on screen. We have digital cameras, it goes right into a computer, so you're dealing with a computer screen most of the time. There's nothing wrong with this, but it's unfortunate because it's not the same, it doesn't have that same intrinsic quality as actually going to an art gallery and seeing stuff on the wall, or even seeing it well printed in a book. The other cool thing about books is books, believe it or not, with art books, particularly photography books, are a reasonably good investment if you purchase wisely. They're the kind of books that the price needs to be right on because they're how-to books, they're instructional books, things like that, and those don't hold their value. However, artist monographs do, and particularly once they go out of print. And if you look at kind of how the publishing industry has kind of been looking over the last couple years, they could become more rare and rare as time goes. I don't promise that, but my whole point being is that usually, especially once a book is out of print, if you need to sell them for whatever reason, usually you can at least get what you paid for it out of it, if not more. The other interesting thing is if there's a book you're interested in, once they do go out of print, they become a lot more rare and they're more difficult to find. So hopefully, I don't have a huge rare book collection, but hopefully we can kind of go through some of the things that I do have, and mainly what I'm trying to do is show you some printed work that might inspire you. If you like it, go buy the book. And maybe introduce you to some photographers that you're not familiar with. So today we're going to kick it off. The first episode of our book review thing here is I'm going to talk about Dan Winters. Dan Winters is a wonderful photographer. He does a lot of magazine and publication work, and he's based in Austin, Texas, and I think he keeps a place in Los Angeles too. Dan is particularly interesting. He's a younger guy. He's probably late 40s. He is exceptionally talented, and his style is interesting because kind of in the world of magazine publications, you kind of have this paparazzi kind of style going, and Dan's not about that. Dan shoots film, he shoots 8x10, and he really has kind of this old masters kind of influence to his work. As you can see, he does do a lot of celebrities, but he doesn't do just celebrities. But anyway, what we're going to do is kind of reconfigure here so I can actually open this up and get a better view here, and we're going to check out the Dan Winters Periodical Photographs book. One of the things about Dan is he shoots mainly with large format film, and by large format I mean 8x10 cameras, at least 4x5. It's really rare to see people doing magazine publications, so you see this frame around a lot of the images, which is actually real. That's what it looks like because the way the negative holder holds the film. That's probably the least exciting thing about Dan's work, so I'm going to get into this a little bit. Sorry, I've got some stuff in here. Anyway, Dan is extremely good, as you can see. He shoots a lot of celebrities. His work is absolutely stunning, and he really has, this has almost like a Vermeer quality to it, but it doesn't look like a Vermeer painting. He's definitely put his own stamp on it, and it's definitely contemporary, very modern. There's definitely a fashion influence with a lot of this stuff. Guys like Richard Avedon, things like that. I'm not real sure who Dan's influences are. This is kind of interesting. There's some roller derby girls dressed as Kiss. Leonardo DiCaprio, this is kind of a famous shot. Dan shoots for there's some Hollywood magazines as well as some Texas publications, New York Times Magazine, things like that. Again, I think this one, Leonardo, is exceptionally beautiful. Has a really nice film look to it. And in addition to that, it's just the lighting is so subtle. It's a fairly dark photo, which probably speaks something of what he was trying to go for in terms of the personality of the subject. Neil Young, which looks like a mugshot. Anyway, as you can see, Dan's work is just absolutely beautiful. I'm gonna go through here and find some other stuff. This is Jeff Koons, who's a contemporary artist. Debbie Harry is in here, and not everybody in here is celebrities. There's a series he did on let's see, a lot of celebrities. Heath Ledger, and the list goes on. There was one he did on Army personnel, which is really interesting too. I love this woman and the way her face looks, and I mean, she's like a drill sergeant right off the television or something. Some still life stuff that were done in here. So I imagine that a lot of these were put together as part of a magazine article, the Dalai Lama. And I love the way that it's not sloppy, but the way he uses the entire negative. There's no cropping out of serial numbers on the film, things like that. President Obama. Anyway, so as you can see, Dan is an absolutely wonderful photographer. This is interesting too. Frank Gehry, who's an architect who did, I can't remember which building this is, but obviously he did the Experience Music Project in Seattle, the Guggenheim Museum in Spain, things like that. Anyway, his style is very much like this, and what's weird is he has kind of this silver look to the lighting on this. It's very harsh, the metallic background, the silver hair, things like that. So it's an interesting, if you think back many episodes ago, and I don't know which number it is offhand, but we talked a little bit about Arnold Newman and his style of doing these environmental portraits, where the subject was always shot in the environment, so you could tell, something about their personality, their occupation, something just by looking at the portrait. This is a completely different approach, and what's cool doing magazine spreads is that Dan is able to kind of stretch this out and kind of have A and B subjects as far as these two photos would go together. They match, as well as the one on the front here. So anyway. Go buy the book. It's absolutely fantastic. He has kind of these goofy still lifes of things that he owns, like this photo booth that are kind of fun. But anyway, basically that's Dan Winters. So anyway, that's Dan Winters. Excellent book. I highly recommend it. Definitely worth studying because I think he crosses the bridge between commercial art and fine art really successfully. I will put a link to Amazon in the show notes. So if you visit the website at aop.thepublicbroadcast.com, you can check it out there. So anyway, hope you found this useful, and once again, this has been The Art of Photography, and thanks for watching.